All right. I wanted to welcome everyone to this XWA stage where we are talking about the 50-point structure, the big update that we've been working for a long time. The reason why I'm talking and not one of the more important people for these discussions is I just wanted to, as like a part of the council and representative for the committee, just kind of congratulate everyone for getting here. It's been a quite a process. This is something that we started on basically when XWA started. We knew that we were going to be going in this direction, and it took many steps in order for us to get to this point. We the XWA's mandate is highly focused on not just the maintenance of the game and making sure that the people who are in here are happy, but looking for the long term direction and growth of the game. And we felt that, especially those in the council, we felt that this is an important stepping stone for us to achieve that. There's a lot of goals for this points rebalancing, and a lot of things that we want to use this as a jumping point off to do more and greater things. Um, I'm sure Paul can talk, about all the things they've had to put on hold from the design perspective because we've been trying to get this thing out. And now that we have like kind of this new baseline, we're going to be able to do so much more about it, which obviously Ollie can talk about as well. So I just wanted to, reiterate, make sure everyone is aware that this is a big step for us, and you know, there will always be things that we can improve on, and we will be improving on, and we're going to look very heavily in the next couple of weeks into seeing what are the things that we potentially missed. But at the end of the day, like we're just like you guys, and we're trying to just make the game better, and so we're just doing our best to make that happen. And I hope everyone here and everyone who gets to play our new points updates get to really feel that's where this is coming from. That's it for me.
Awesome. I mean, where do we want to start? Because shall we start off with why 50? Because I think that's probably going to be the biggest question.
Yeah,
I think that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, Paul, do you want to lead off? Because whilst we had our ideas of why 50, I think Paul has the biggest, like, this is why it's a good idea.
Sure. So the originally we were talking about this like way back when we started XWA. Do we stay at 20? Do we go to a bigger number? Do we go to 200? Do we go somewhere in between? And we said that is a very large change, and we're gonna kind of kick the can down the road a little bit on that and do some easy stuff first, just to make sure we have the process right. And then so we did points changes. Ollie's team has been working well on that, and we got a bunch of point changes out. We got design team went through our first release and got design stuff out. We got the playtesters. We organized all of them, and we proved out every different step of our release schedule. And then we decided, yeah, we're good. We're at a good spot. We can hit the hard stuff now. So we talked about it amongst ourselves, what the best part would be, like what the best number would be, um, and a lot of it was we didn't want to go too high up, because then the math gets pretty annoying to do in the middle of the game when you have to do it, 6 to 10 times over the course of the game, adding, a 2-digit number and another 2-digit number and making a 3-digit number, and like so going over 100 was just out of the question really, because then you get taken out of the game too often. So we ended up going, okay, well, we want to go higher, but we don't want to go too high that the math becomes too onerous. So we ended up deciding on 50 as the right number. And I mean, Ollie had this great point where 48 becomes a really cool point value, where you're where you have 8 times 6 and 4 times 12, and there's a lot of different summations that you can make into that. And I think Greg had a good point at some point during our testing where he was like, "Hey, instead of making, I don't even remember how many possible lists you could possibly make under the 20-point system, but he said in the 20-point system there's this many different, I don't know, rebel lists or whatever." And then he said in the 50-point system, because of the different numbers that we have. We have so many more combinations. It's ridiculous. It's insane. So we thought it was a really good idea, and we kicked it over to the playtesters, and they tested for months. I think this has probably been the most playtested thing that we've playtested. So so now they tested that out, and they liked it. We went through a bunch of different iterations. I don't know, Ollie, you guys were up to like version
Oh,
9 point
yeah.
something, or
Ridiculous amounts. And it's
yeah.
actually while we're there, it actually makes sense for me to sort of start off at our starting point, because there was a mention in the chat that I was seeing going down about the why have we got 5T70s if we're reducing power scale. The point that I like with all of our playtests and everything else, like we were constantly going back and forth with them, and the point that we wanted to start at was 4 Red Squadron T70s building to 48 points. I know you mentioned the 12 times 4, like that seemed like a perfect point of like, okay, this is about how we see the game. And as we went through the process and going, okay, so like 4070s, it's about the right starting point. We actually had some really good feedback, both internally and from our playtesters, that whilst we've reduced the power level, this just wasn't fun. So we allowed it, still based it around those ships, but allowed them to have a bit more loadout, a bit more fun. And when we went into the final testing stages, we did have a look at how good the 5T70s was, the blue ones. And we realized that as long as they don't have access to heroic, because they don't have talents, and they don't have access to the like any of the 5-point upgrades, so like advanced optics or cannons or anything else, then that was fairly well balanced. So yeah, we've like as you say, we've both been involved in the playtesting process under FFG AMG, and this was at least 4 times longer than anything that I've ever tested for that. We really put some effort into this.
Yeah, our playtest team knocked it out of the park with this one. And speaking of playtest team, if you want to join, I know there's more ways to join our playtest team. Just to throw that plug in for anyone listening, all 145 of you. We're always accepting more playtesters.
Yeah, 100%. And I think what we're going to be doing is not just, we'd love more people involved in the playtest team. We've got a couple of dedicated playtest leads at the moment, so they're going to be reaching out soon. What we're also going to be doing is we're going to be getting up a public feedback form, like a better one once again. So for you guys playing your games, we know that we're going to get, as much as playtesting as we've done, we're going to get more data from the first month of everyone playing this than we are from all of like the 6 to a year that we've been trying to playtest all of this. So yeah, if you can feedback your stuff as well, that would be amazing. So yeah, that's kind of our starting point and where we went to, where we got to. What else do we want to hit? The other big thing is the patch notes. It's going to be really, really key that everyone reads this with the patch notes. And I think the biggest thing involved in that set of patch notes is the restricted list. So Greg, do you want to take on this one? Because this was kind of your baby in the first place.
Sure. So the restricted list is just kind of a way of pipping ships without eroding cards. Like on Reddit, someone had a question like, why not just, since it acts the same as limited, why not just make the cards limited? But you don't want to like change the card every time and then have to produce a new print and play every time. This lets us edit a restricted list. It's like a living, breathing thing. And what it really, really does is let us cost ships appropriately and then not let X-Wing players do what we do, which is then spam the efficiency. Because like say like a scum generic Falcon, right? Not a great ship. It's just not, right? It's not a great ship, but you get 4 of them, all of a sudden you've clogged up all the lanes, you're dominating like everywhere. It lets us, it's another lever to let us tune and get things right, which really is, you know, what we're trying to do. And also there's so many ships that like completely change with barrage rockets or something like that. It almost feels like they're 2 different ships when they have barrage rockets or they don't have barrage rockets, or you know, something. It's just another lever for us.
Yeah, super helpful. And it's one of those things where the big thing is, as you've said, the multiple large bases, the multiple medium bases, but also the upgrades. We found it for Phantoms, for example, in Duke, being able to shut down Hotshot Gunner and Duke allowed some of the Phantom builds that we'd seen in the past out of jail, because we attempted to have the Sigma Squadron Ace for the TIE Phantom in Imperials. We tried to have 4 of those multiple times, and every single time it broke the whole game because people would just spam them. We'd have 4 of them with these obnoxious combinations that only work when you have 4 or 5 of them. And yeah, the restricted list just allows us to put those a bit more in perspective.
Yeah, someone mentioned Snapshot in the chat. Yeah, Snapshot is another one that is just miserable if it's spammed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And,
well, that's what X-wing players do, right? You find an efficient thing and you get as much of it as you can, and that makes it's like a cat and mouse game, right? All right, so it gets spammed, then points team has to react, be like, all right, I guess the points on this has to go up, and then it's dead and we don't see it anymore. This lets us get both the worlds in where you can see it, but we don't have to point it out of this world like it's going to be spammed. We can give it an appropriate cost for what it is.
Another thing. Sorry, carry on. There was a.
Oh, I just wanted to reiterate too. Like it also gives you, and I think you spoke to this, like because it's come up a couple times, and I've seen it in the chat, and then also on Reddit. And Greg, I think you responded to this well on Reddit. Is that and we get this question in the XWA questions field from time to time about like fixing a card, right? Like if you make it limited, if we didn't have a restricted list and you went to pips, we would have to have erratas, right? And that is not
that's an errata.
Yeah.
And then if you in the future want to be like, all right, well maybe we can go to like 3 barrage rockets instead of 2, another errata. Like it's just not. I think we want to avoid errata wherever possible.
It doesn't give you the flexibility. It doesn't put it in the meta, right? Like it's semi-permanent without reissuing another print and play errata.
Yeah, and something that was just mentioned as well, which I know that we're going to get this question a few times, is if you have a standard loadout card, for example, with barrage rockets or proton torpedoes, is that included in your list's allowance? You should definitely include it in your restricted allowance. So even if, for example, you have the Battle of Yavin Luke with proton torpedoes, that will count towards your maximum number of proton torpedoes in your list. So that is a list building restriction. And because our list builders are amazing, that is already pre-done, built into Launch Bay and Yasby, I believe. So that will happen there.
One thing I wanted to kind of follow up on was a statement of being agile. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more on possibly the frequencies of monitoring the meta and what we see in the immediate future of our wonderful X-Wing players being able to find those lists and maybe what are the frequency of updates that we could possibly expect? I know it was mentioned in the patch notes, but it's great to reemphasize vocally.
It is, and this is something where I'm very aware that we don't want to be changing things all the time. I know that obviously people enjoy a game that is living, that does have a bit of change. It keeps it fresh, it keeps it exciting, but we don't want to be doing too many changes. One thing that we are aware of, and I'm going to steal this from one of our playtesters that mentioned it literally today, you've got to remember that this is the worst version of these points that we are ever going to release, because they're going to be improving, they're going to be getting better from this point onwards. We're not just going to release them and ignore them, but at the same side of the coin, we're not going to have a knee-jerk reaction to something that seems ridiculously broken if we haven't given it at least a week or a couple of weeks to settle and go, oh yeah, like this is actually fine, the meta moves, it counters it and everything else. So we will absolutely be moving to, if we've missed something, then yeah, sure, we can do a small patch update. But realistically, we'd like to stick to probably 3 changes per year if we can do that. And as well as that, that includes the amazing design stuff that we have upcoming. I mean, Paul's team has been being really patient while we've been working hard on points. We have a really good set of stuff in the pipeline that we're really excited to move on to.
Thanks. Yeah, I've just been playing SWU. Actually, that's been my patience while I've been killing time. But yeah, no, like you mentioned, we do have a 30 card thing, expansion just waiting around for the to go through the whole playtest process. Hoping to get that well in time for Worlds next year. So everyone should have a lot of time to play with that. That one, just to kind of build up some hype for that well in advance of schedule, is going to have it's all going to be customizable pilots and upgrades. There's no SL cards in this one since we just did an all SL set. So it's going to be a lot of spots where we saw gaps where like for example in Astromechs there's some point areas where there were kind of large gaps where we were, if you're like, oh, I want to spend however many points on an Astromech, there just wasn't a good option. So we're trying to fill in some of the gaps with some unique things that we designed. We have some stuff from back in first edition that still hasn't made it over to 2.5 that we're pulling in. And we have some stuff that's on SL cards that we decided that, hey, we can make this in a customizable card, so that we can, so that people can either use a customizable upgrade that was previously attached only to an SL card, or use a pilot as a customizable pilot. So no TLTs. I see you guys talking.
Sorry, we had to troll a little bit.
TLT's not making it back, but there are some fun ones that are making it back either, and we're trying to keep them similar to their ability, but some of them were way too overpowered and stupid, so we had to completely change them.
Is there a card that is far enough along where you don't have to share the ability, but you can at least maybe drop a hint, whether it's a pilot or an upgrade? That you're most excited about?
None of them have gone through playtesting yet at all, so none of them are through any kind of thing. But the one I'm most excited about, well, actually really excited about, I know Ali probably is kind of excited about that, is good old Karner Jax. I'm waiting for him.
I wanted you to say that name so bad. I can talk about it. Yeah, my Karner is back, baby. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, or he will be back in a couple months.
There Karner was. We were fighting the VC.
Is there any hope that you want to speak about on that particular pilot that you hope to see?
I'm not talking at all about that. His abilities, anything like that. No, because there's a very good chance playtesters go, this is awful. You need to change this or whatever. So.
Something that we get asked a lot of questions out, and this is a little bit of a pivot, but I do see this question come up quite a bit. And while we are talking about individual cards that come out, what does the XWA generally look for, or do you take a look at the homebrew suggestions within this server?
So we did mention this in the last stage, and I said I don't really look at the homebrew suggestions in the server. Some people think I should be looking at them, but I generally try to only pay attention to them just to see kind of what general topics people are looking at and fun stuff like that to kind of aim towards. Whereas I'm not getting ideas. We have so many. Roberto is a machine for coming up with ideas. We have pages and pages of ideas. It's actually more we have to pare down to our 30 best ideas every couple of months rather than look for more ideas.
Awesome. Another question that I see coming up a bit, and I think we talked a little bit about this, about the building to the 50 points and how we got the 50 points. That range of 46 to 50 tied with the scenario points and no deficit until total destruction. I know we put that into the list building document appendix now, because that is basically trumping the AMG rules reference guide, which we are looking at publishing eventually a XWA rules reference guide, consolidating, cleaning up a few things there. But would one of you be willing to talk about the deficit scoring? Because we've had a few questions come in. We've had a few reports from TOs that sometimes we're using it, sometimes we're not using it, and that mindset.
Yeah, I can 100% talk on that in terms of how we've seen it play and how relevant or irrelevant it has been. What we wanted to do is we didn't want to go back to the old system of having like a bid or anything else in your list. The pure process of allowing people to build from 46 to 50 is because sometimes when you're building with a 50-point system, you'll fit 3, maybe 4 ships into your list and go, you know what, I don't actually want an extra ship. These are the ones that I want. And it doesn't quite add up. It doesn't quite fit. The only list that I have personally seen that have had that situation have built to 49. But we wanted to make sure that we did 46 to 49, just in case some people had some cool things they wanted to try. The way that deficit works is that when you have completely wiped out your opponent's list, you will get those points at the end of the game. So a really good example in the patch notes is if you've scored 15 points of objectives and you manage to wipe out your opponent, then you will score 65 points. The reason that this has not been a huge issue at all is because objective points exist. Normally, you're going to get about half to 40% of your points from objectives and the rest of those from killing ships. Therefore, you don't go anywhere near that hidden or like locked away points value. So they are irrelevant in the game because most of the time it's actually a better thing to build to 50 because it's more efficient. It's very, very difficult to hide away those points inside a deficit scoring system. So yeah, it hasn't come to be an issue at all.
I want to add something to that just before we move on about specifically, since I was the one who like kind of drove to the teams to try out no deficit testing. You have to also remember that if every point in the game has value, by not building to 50, you are effectively sacrificing some of your efficiency in order to do so, right? And so if a player is already doing that, they shouldn't then be further punished for doing that. I think it's already enough of a loss just because like I want to do this combination works for me, to not then be punished further. And I think as long as we like they've set up in this system where you can still get the points if you completely destroy the list, then none of the downside really exists. That was all I wanted to add. You can go on.
100%. And this is something that I think Paul maybe can talk about as well, but I wanted to mention while we're talking about the objectives, the reasoning and decisions behind our scenario scoring. What you may not have noticed if you just had a brief look at it, it looks like the scenario points have gone up. In reality, they've gone slightly down. We can't multiply scenario points by 2.5 because you can't have a whole point. So when we did this process, we did quite a lot of testing on whether scenarios should be 2 points per player, 3 points per player, maybe 2 and 5 or something like that. We ended up settling on 4 points for the person winning scenarios, 2 points for the person losing scenarios. And the reason that we did so was a genuinely interesting psychological reason, not a points value reason. We found that the lists being built and flown when we had the winner scoring at least 5 points or higher turned into the same type of list. It was only 5-ship lists or 6-ship lists. It was objective heavy. They were just focused on objectives. And it didn't actually change the split of objectives to ship kills. It maybe changed it by about 3% total. The difference was it was a psychological thing that players viewed that extra amount of objective points as a thing that they had to get. And therefore it completely changed the list building. And that was something that was really affecting how our playtesters were playing. And because of that, we decided to reduce them to the 2.4 point. And actually, we've still found that objectives have a big impact on the game. We haven't got rid of them completely. That isn't our intention. We still want them to be there. It's just so happened that that ended up being the right system to go with the new 50-point system.
Yeah, it was really interesting how mentally we were like, well, the difference between 2-4 and 3-5 is barely anything, like you were saying, but it causes such like a mental block on people where they were like, oh well, 5 is 10% of the game right there, and four is only, less than 10% of the game. So it's like, 8% of the game. So whatever, we can give up a 4-point thing, but once people were like, no, I absolutely cannot give up a 5-point thing. So I'm going to build more scenario focused lists where, we like we've said before, we want to make sure scenarios are there kind of to push people to engage and get into a dogfight and give you a way to end the game when the game where both players realize that the game is over. So, they're like, well, let's end the game via the objectives so that it's not like this long drawn out end game process. So I think it's still doing what we needed to do. And people are still finishing games in 75 minutes. So I'm pretty happy with that. But yeah,
Yeah.
we tried 2-4, we tried 2-5, we tried 3-5. I was trying to think of some other options to do, but none of them were good. So yeah, we ended up going back to 2-4.
And I think it's also a shout out to the design team as well, helping us throughout the process. It was a big thing from them was making sure we stayed on target with keeping our games finishing in time, like we're reaching that 50-point marker at under the 75-minute, because it's especially because we're playtesting online a lot of the time, and we also managed to get some of our playtesters who were testing in person to test this, that the games are going for completion. I'm just going to do a little shout out as well. I'm going to say a second name because I saw that Paul teased it in the chat. I'm just going to say Thweek and leave it at that for some possible new cards.
Yeah. Well, someone was talking about him, but yeah, his don't get used to don't get to thinking you're going to see shadowed or mimicked though, because those are both not good for the game. we have to come up with a whole new thing for him.
Yeah. Something that I'd like to mention, just making sure that people are checking in, is the slots. And again, shout out to the design team. We are fully aware that there are some ships, TIE fighters are a really good example with the modification slots, that can't use the loadout that they have. We do know about that. We wanted to make sure that the slots across a lot of different chassis were the same, to make it a lot easier for people to think, oh, that's a TIE fighter, that has a modification, that has maybe a talent, and that's about it. Or that's a Y-Wing, it must have a torpedo slot, it must have a turret slot, depending on which type it is. So yeah, that was intentional. And there are definitely some holes that will be filled in the future in those spaces. So we do know that, yes, there are certain ships that might have a missile slot that can't use the missile slot. That is intentional, not because we're just trying to make you sad, but because it's a lot easier to have all of those ships with access to the same slots.
Yeah, and that was the first thing we did as the points team too, was we literally went through every ship in the game and decided what slots that ship should have, and then went through every pilot to make sure we weren't, accidentally making some pilot ability useless or something with doing the slots. So it was a little bit of an arduous process to begin with, but I think it's gonna be worth it when you're able to just like see a ship and like inherently know what it can take.
Yeah, I suppose I don't want to butt ahead if Jason has anything else, but there was one more thing that I wanted to mention, which is power level. The thing that I think most people are going to see here is, okay, so my list has lost a ship or it's reduced in power. That has been intentional. So if your initial reaction to this is, oh, like they've busted my list, like I can't fly it anymore, have a look at everything else around. it is pretty much the same across the board, that we have reduced the power level a little bit. I'm seeing, using Stevens builders, most things are coming in at around 17-ish, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, depending on where they're at. So in the old 20-point money. So that is where a lot of these 50-point lists are heading. Apart from that, unless anyone has some other things, then I'm happy to throw over to questions, I reckon.
The only thing I wanted to mention, someone mentioned Epic points. We did not specifically test Epic with this new 50-point scale. My suggestion, I'm pretty sure that Yasby is set up like this now. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's 100 points, and the SL cards have been adjusted accordingly to fit in a 100-point scale. I hope that's correct.
Yep, as far as I'm aware, it looks like that's the
I'm
case.
pretty sure that's all we
Okay.
did in the points is just multiplied it.
Yeah, we didn't do a ton of testing. We didn't do any testing, as far as I know, in Epic. Unfortunately, we had to concentrate on the standard version of the game. But man, I do love how the people who are into Epic Play and the huge ships and everything are still going on with it and pushing it forward. I see people posting on the Epic discussion forum on here pretty regularly, talking about the different wingmen and modifications you can make to that. That is still on my list of things I want to get back to at someday to give it a couple more tweaks.
Yeah,
Awesome.
100%.
Yeah, I think that's the last formal topic thing that I had. The last large question. We did have somebody raise their hand already. Do we want to open it up to in-person questions?
Yeah, I'm good
Sure.
too. Just making sure that no one else has anything they want to say. Yeah.
7 seconds of awkward silence.
Hey.
All right. Let's invite our first person. Is there a good way to sort these?
Probably. I mean, just a little bit tap dancing. The one thing that I would say, just while we're sorting out all of this, is please do go and read the notes. We do have the patch notes alongside the points. So yeah, please have a read of them. It isn't a comprehensive list because we've changed everything, but it is at least a good view of why we did things, how we changed it. Yeah.
There we go. I see it now. Okay. Separate sort method. All right. So first up, I'm gonna invite Taylor.
The bug?
The bug. You might have to accept it, and I see you're mobile. Oh, there
Yeah.
you are.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I was on the phone. Yeah, I just had a quick question. So it's like Big FO. I'd never really played the FO bombers, but I've kind of going through stuff, and I noticed they finally got you can fit 5 of them in a list, and they can all take like bombs, ordnance. I was really kind of happy about them just being ordnance carriers. So how did the playtesting go with being able to take like the prime thrusters and all of the ordnance?
The big thing for us with the FO bombers, and the big thing that have been holding them back in the past, is actually weirdly the restricted list, because proximity mines was such a big problem on this chassis. When you have the ability to boost and then bomb someone, it was so strong that we couldn't actually have them appropriately costed for their points value, because proximity mines just broke the chassis immediately. So it's really exciting now that we can unlock this thing. And we've had a fair few people that really enjoyed playing them, use them a few times. Yeah, the other thing that you may have mentioned is that some of them have a double missile slot as well. So we've unlocked barrage rockets on them too, if you want to use them that way. So yeah, the FO bombers they're a slightly new beast, but they're pretty effective, and they're also pretty squishy. So if you're going to fly them well, you've really got to try and get the most out of them.
Well, that's what I've always kind of figured with them too. Is like when I first flew them, they were really good, and then just kind of nerfed really quickly, and you couldn't like their abilities don't really like they're very circumstantial, and so it's like no loadout kind of niche abilities. I've never really seen them put on the tables since they first kind of came out, and it's exciting to see them have actual loadout.
The thing is, once they get stressed, they become a completely
Yeah.
different ship that is much worse.
Yeah, and that's why I like the prime thrusters on there, and it being 5 points is nice.
Yeah. Also, we can blame Crispy for everything that was involved in the bomber's demise.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your question. Do you have any follow-up questions? Or
No, that was it for now.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll move on then to Ponderous.
Yeah.
Keep things moving.
Absolutely. The bombers are really cool. I like what we've been able to do with them. Sorry.
No, that's cool.
Alright.
No, I'm also very excited about that. Particularly prime thrusters. Jill, my girl, she's back. But anyway, yeah. I had kind of a couple of questions, so feel free to limit me as necessary. But I guess first question would be, since these are this points structure is, as you guys were saying, kind of different, not really thought of to exactly be just 2.5 times what it is right now. And it's only been a couple hours to take a look at it. Are you guys able to speak to, like, if this had just been a regular points update, I would have expected, like, yeah, we made this ship stronger or weaker in this way because. Is there any standout cases that you guys can speak to of we wanted to make this ship a little stronger or a little weaker to what it currently has been in the 20 points version, or what we have right now, or is it just so different that there's like not even a comparison?
There's a couple of really good examples, and I think most of you can probably see that for yourselves. If you've ever seen a ship that as soon as it went up to, say, for example, it went from 3 to 4, and it went from being the most played ship on the table to nobody ever uses this. I think Gemma and Kyo in the Rebel A-Wings was a really good example that
Okay.
they were ridiculously good at 3, and then as soon as they went to 4, they were just useless. This is the big reason why we have gone and risked the jump to 50, because actually, if we'd have done another points update at 20, there wouldn't have been much change. It would have been a little bit of, oh, this goes up a bit, this comes down a bit. I think everyone was having a really good time with the 20-point system. The reason that we wanted to go to 50 is because it gives us so much freedom in terms of the list building and the meta and being able to unlock the other half of the game that wasn't available because it just couldn't be at that competitive edge. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be perfect, but I am excited for those. The other thing is generics. The generics feel like they've really been unlocked by this. And the shift, because you can, like, why would you ever take a generic for the same points cost as a named pilot with a higher initiative that can do the same job better? So yeah, I'd say that would be my immediate response to that one.
Okay. Let's just have a look at the known ships that were in that weird in the middle place, rather than like necessarily like a patch notes style. Yeah, we wanted to
100%.
focus or do something with these chassis or whatever.
Yeah, and it was all of those. If essentially think about the game, think about a pilot that you can't remember the name of because you just haven't seen them played. That is the kind of pilot that we're making this move for. Like Teza Naz, for example, there is a Y-wing pilot that most people don't know. There is a million different X-wings, or like Slammer in the Torrent. Hopefully those ships have a little bit more of a place now.
Cool. May I continue asking one or two more questions, or would we like to give somebody else a chance?
We do have 5 other people in line, so
Okay. Yep. I will come back later.
Awesome.
sorry.
Appreciate no, that's why I
thank you for
asked.
the question,
Appreciate you guys.
No, get out! Leave!
Jesus.
Wow.
Great for Peter.
Okay. All right. Next, we have Larry coming on. So should be live now on XWA Radio.
Thank you. And thank you guys for all the work that you've done since you took over. I know you're all volunteers, so our group in the upstate South Carolina really appreciate everything that you've done. So thank you again. One quick question about the playtesting. Did you find most lists ended up being 4 or 5 ships?
I can tell you that. Give me 1 second to pull up the playtest sheet. I have the exact
We have
average.
data.
It bounced
Yeah,
around
Greg's
as
been
we
doing a
changed
lot on
the
numbers.
yeah as we changed the scenario points. It did bounce around as we said
Yes.
earlier. But on the 2-4 points, I'm guessing we lean more towards 4 ships. But Greg has
So,
the values.
So when we tested 3 to 5, the average ship count was 5.1. On 2-4, the average ship count is 4.5.
And to clarify, that's the objective split. Like if you have 3 points for objectives or 2 points for objectives.
Yeah.
Yeah. So roughly even. Well, or there were probably about as many 3-ship lists as 6-ship lists and so on. So yeah, pretty even split between 4 and 5.
I think one other
That'll help.
interesting thing is that 3-5 testing ended almost a full round earlier than 2-4 testing, which is a little insane considering the amount of actual objective points got was not that high. It's just how people played.
Yeah, I think people are in more of a rush because they're, like I was saying earlier, they're not willing to lose 10% of the game by taking a round off, but they're willing to lose 8% of the game because that is, only 1 point difference, but it's in your head. It's it's a huge difference.
Yeah.
Thank you.
One thing that I'd just like to follow up on, I know there's a few people waiting, but it's been really interesting seeing the reduction in ships has actually encouraged, I was hoping it would encourage, and I think we have seen it encourage, some swarm lists as well. Because when the ship count drops enough that you don't have these hyper efficient 5 ships all everywhere, suddenly it's a good thing to be able to take an 8-ship list to try and overcome that 4-ship efficiency. So it's been good for the freshness of the game.
Very cool. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your question. All right, next, Liam.
Hello, how are you all doing today?
Great.
Good.
It's good to hear. Kind of a 2-part question. The first part is, how long have these points been finalized? And the second part is, would we ever be able to see kind of the list that the play testers have been trying out during these past few, however long it was, so we could kind of get an idea of what kind of list we'd expect to see?
Finalized about a week. We really ran this as close as possible. There was one change that snuck in afterwards. The other thing that I would say, and I've also encouraged the playtesters that did do this, is please go ahead and share the list that you've been flying and you've been enjoying. So a big shout out to the amazing amount of playtesting that these guys have done. They've been awesome. It hasn't been easy. There has been some arguments behind the scenes, but I feel like we've got it into a good place. And yeah, please, from the playtesters, chuck those lists into the ether. Let people enjoy the stuff that you've been finding fun. And yeah.
Yeah. I'm also just not sure how much releasing like all the playtest lists would really help, because some weeks there were, guys, we need to test this subsection of ships. Guys, we need to test this. So you'll end up like seeing like chunks where everyone's flying a Falcon or everyone's flying a Decimator or something, I'm not sure it would be like useful in regards of like what playtesters would build on their own.
Gotcha. Thank you all.
Thank you, Liam.
All right. Next, we got Sev124.
Hello.
Hello.
How you guys doing? Thank you. I just want to say thank you guys. I love the 50 points. I love reducing the ship count, objectives, and focusing on gunfighting. I've been wanting that in the game for a long time. It's going to make each move and attack more meaningful. Thank you for putting crew back on Boba. I have one question. Are you guys willing to take a look at playtesting Road and removing Road and replacing it with Roll Before Dials? Just because I feel like Road really, really hurts fragile ships, promotes tanks, and it causes you to usually just do a neutral move instead because you don't know if you're going to win the coin toss or not.
So that's a really interesting question. I think I think that falls on me. I don't particularly plan on reattacking Road and changing it. I think the better route for design to make sure that fragile ships have a place in the meta is to do kind of what we're doing right now and try to make it so that there's fewer ships on the field, so that these high initiative aces have like a bigger playing area to do their shenanigans and get away with it, and not have to worry so much about doing these kind of defensive moves or neutral moves, as you call it, where they just kind of go, well, I'm just going to do the 2 straight because I don't know who's going first.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, okay, I could do the 2 hard, but then you kind of lose that, that poker part where the other guy has initiative and you're sitting there and you're looking at each other and you're like, is he going to go for the block or is he going to go for, the 4K? And that, I really love that play back in like the 1.0 and 2.0 days where you're like, man, okay, I don't think he's going to go for the block. And you put it down and he did. And you're like, oh, man. Like, I love that aspect of it. And we kind of did lose that with Road just because it's like, well, neither of us know, which I guess we're on, an even footing. But then, usually if it's Nim or something like that, you're like, he doesn't care. He's going to push himself in there.
Yeah.
He does not care.
And
then, you have like an interceptor. And this mostly just hurts the PS5s. Like if you paid for the PS6, pretty much who's going last, and it's going to be you. But there's usually a lot of 5s. I see in this version of the points, there's not as many 5s, which I like a lot. They're definitely more expensive. So they can't be just spammed. But it usually hurts the 5s where it's just, a coin toss.
That's something that I definitely like to point out as well. And you've spotted the big thing. That I'd like to think that most people know that I'm an ace player. Every single version recently of the last month or so that I've been putting ships on the table, it has felt so much more freedom. And again, it's felt like I'm going back to the earlier days of X-Wing where flying matters and all of that. And as you pointed out, the difference in initiative has been very noticeable. We've tried to increase the amount of lower initiative that we've been seeing, which means that it isn't just a race to 6. You can now fly 4s and 5s and have a bit more like, oh, I'm actually an ace. I'm not just getting picked on by Anakin. So yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, because I do feel like the red focus was kind of a band-aid for Road, whereas, now that we don't really know who's going first, it doesn't feel good to get blocked because you lost the coin toss and then you lose your action. So they kind of band-aided a red focus on top of that.
Yeah. The one thing that I would finish with is that Maui is going to be looking at a lot of the rules. He is working very hard behind the scenes. So there is going to be a review of a load of these things. I can't say what's going to change, if anything, but it's definitely being looked at. And it's something that we're going, hey, we want to keep this healthy.
Oh, that's all I ask. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for your question.
All right, keep it up, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Fair to say, too, with any rules referencing that we're looking at, there'd be plenty of play testing.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we are. No, sorry. We are the evil overlords, and we're ignoring all of you. Ha 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 ha. Clip that. There we go.
Oh boy. All right, Alan is up next. Alan, once you accept, here we are.
Hello, evening all.
What's your question?
It's regarding faction archetypes. Obviously, in the past, there's been we've obviously tried to keep factions to specific archetypes. I've noticed, for example, Republic now have action to an 8-ship list of generics. Is this intentional? Did you plan for this in the points, or was Are you still trying to stick to these traditional archetypes?
This is one that I'd love to take if that's okay. It's really interesting to have a look at the history of the game. If you take a little while, you have a look at factions and you realize that if you go far enough back, Imperials used to be the Swarm faction. And then they were known for a while as the Ace faction. There was a point in the middle where actually they were the Quad TLT faction when Aggressus became a thing. Over the period of the game, it has rotated. The big thing that I wanted to bring with this set of points, and I've been trying to do for a little while, but this 50 has allowed, hopefully, us to do it, is that most factions should be able to have more than one identity. They should be able to do a ace list. They should be able to do a beef list. They should be able to do a swarm list. Now, clearly, some of those are going to be good at better than those and others. Like you think of droids, you think of TIE fighters. They are the iconic swarm lists, and we've tried to bring those back. But yeah, we did want to make sure that there is a little bit of diversity in each faction, that players who love playing one faction are able to do that regardless of whether or not they love playing aces or they love playing swarm. So we haven't destroyed or moved away from those factions having that identity. Like playing droids as a droid swarm is amazing. Playing TIE fighters as a TIE swarm is amazing. Playing Imperial aces is amazing. But we also wanted to open up the opportunity for you to use that faction in your own way if possible. So I hope that answers your question.
That's perfect, guys. That's what I wanted to hear.
And to bounce it on that too, from the design standpoint, we definitely pay attention to factions when we're designing our cards. For example, all the First Order stuff that we designed, all the SL cards for First Order are all follow a really good theme. I was really proud of the theme that we had there going with them and their pain, power from pain kind of faction representation. So we pay attention a lot and try to make sure the theme matches for these. Like you're never going to see a power from pain kind of effect. Well, I'm not going to say never, but hopefully you don't see that too often in like the Republic, for example, because that's not their thing. It's not their thing to take damage to change something to an eyeball or something. Their thing is to spend force and have their clones help the Jedi out and have their Jedi help the clones out and just be team players. So we try to make sure that we follow those themes that way.
Awesome. Any follow-up questions, or is that?
No, that was just it. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thank you for your question. And
Thank you.
On.
While we're getting a new person in, if there was someone that tagged an Alex Davey in the chat, if that is the FFG Alex Davey, I love you and carry on being awesome. That's all.
That is the real Alex Davey in the chat or in the audience.
Cool. I will stop swooning.
He's never said that to me, but that's fine. It's totally cool. Whatever.
All right. Innkeeper, what is your question?
Hey guys, first off, thanks for all you guys do. But my question, I know maybe it didn't come out with this release, but more it might be a long-term question or a thought. It's range 0 shots. I know we've all been on both sides of them. I've been around since the late 1.0 days. Fully understand the idea of blocking. Then that ship can't shoot you, so you just run into people. Not suggesting at all that we would get rid of it, but with the dice variance, I mean, we've all been on both sides of the 3 hits or 4 hits if you run into a Tafson, right? But is there any thoughts on bringing that power level of that range 0 variance down to, I'm sure we all have suggestions, and I'm not trying to hear to push my thoughts, but that's what I'm trying to ask right now. Is like, and I know that's something that would have to be play tested, and maybe something to think about later. But that's something that no matter what, we play a game, and we run into it. So
yeah,
just your thoughts.
It's the thing. What I will say, I'm not going to say too much on it. We are having a look at how these interactions work internally. So we've had a discussion about Reign Zero. We've had a discussion about Road. There are going to be some decisions backs and forwards, and I don't know what those decisions are going to be. So I can't tell you a yes or a no or give you an idea, but we're definitely looking at it, and it is something that we will review. So keep tuned, basically.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, just to get out ahead, like we consider everything. Like there's literally nothing that we were just like, no, we're never gonna consider it. You know, but like whether or not anything happens, that's a different story. But you can rest
Yeah, a lot
assured
of
that
these are
every
on
aspect of the game we're gonna look at it.
a lot of these are on Maui's list of things to look at and figure out if there's a better way to achieve the same goal, or if we should leave it as is because that's the best way we can do it. And to be fair, like we don't want to just insert change just to like be like, haha, now we've made a change. This is our baby now. Like we have to do a ton of play testing, and everything kind of takes a little bit of time.
It's
and
not change.
sorry.
Oops, sorry. It's not change for the sake of change, right?
Yeah.
And especially with
I just
rules.
wanted to echo that. It is literally like if we could leave the game as it is, and we believe that it was the best version of the game that could be, then we would. The only reason that we are even looking at any changes is because we want to turn X-Wing into the best version of it that we can be and enjoy it for years to come. So that's where all of our viewpoint is.
I will say too, it's incredible the amount of diversity that I've seen in the XWA. Like when the XWA approaches a certain topic, whether it's rules, points, there's a lot of diversity and there's a lot of discussion, and they're thoughtful discussion and review, and then play testing. Look at the data. Let's come back to it, right? Because everyone here is a huge fan of this game, and to devote the time and resources, like from your communities, from your local communities, your own tournaments, your own in-person games, and those experiences. So we see those experiences, we feel the experiences. We have many active representatives in this Discord, in many of their own Discord communities, Reddit, Facebook, that are looking to these frequently asked questions. And I saw Ryan Staniszewski in the chat even say, everybody's looking at various perspectives of this game, but what becomes a priority that needs to be addressed to spend all of these folks' energy that they're committing to making this successful and fun and enjoyable for the future. All right, with that, we got a couple more. I don't think we ever set an end time. I know we're at an hour. We okay to keep going?
I'm game.
Yeah, I'm fine.
I'm okay to carry on if you want to go.
All right, let's keep going. Alaskan Prairies. Should be getting an invite now. There we are. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. I have two quick ones for you. One, throughout the playtesting process, were there any ship cards or upgrades that were looked at potentially for the restricted list but didn't make it on, and why?
I can speak for that one. We tried to use the restricted list as little as humanly possible. The reason that the restricted list is there is to fix things that we could not fix any other way. If it didn't have to exist, it wouldn't. But it's the best workaround that we have so far of not allowing certain upgrades to break the game. So yes, you can be sure that we have considered things and tried to avoid it. I'm not going to name specific cards because there's been a fair few ups and downs and changes and stuff. But yeah, definitely we have considered things. If also, again, if you think the stuff should, there is going to be a feedback form. So please add that on there.
Yeah. And also along with that, I'm curious just to pick your brains on the design philosophy for the future. Are you guys looking at just exclusively like new cards, new upgrades, and new ships potentially, or is it something else here or there?
So we have so many things on our in the docket that we're just like, we want to do this and we want to do that. So yeah, there's the easy ones are, yes, we want to keep feeding people new ships, new upgrades, new SL cards, new customizable cards, all that stuff. We are also trying to figure out an intelligent way to do any new ships, like not just new pilots, but a new ship entirely. But we're still working on that. That is not going to be a near term thing. And I have my I guess passion projects of like epic play that I like looking into every now and again. There's the Hex WA is another one of my passion projects that I've been trying to see if I can fit X-Wing into a Hex board. Fun things like that. There's a couple others that are like even farther back. I don't know. I'm not really ready to talk about any of them right now, but yeah, we're also looking at any other kinds of new things to put out, but I don't want to overwhelm people with new stuff. Like there are casual people who only play like once every 2 or 3 months or even longer, and I don't want them to show up and have a completely different game every time they show up. Like so I want to kind of do iterative, slow, conservative release schedules.
Makes sense. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Also,
Just
I
while
can
we're
confirm.
getting, sorry,
Sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. I
was just going to say.
Yeah, okay, you go ahead.
Go on,
go.
Greg.
You go. No, you go. You go.
It's
I've
like two
seen this
British people at a
movie.
roundabout. Oh dear. No, I was just going to mention the Sloan and Supernatural Reflexes. They are intentionally a 50 right now because those are the two things that we don't believe can be balanced into the game.
Because we
everything
hate them.
else, yeah, that seems fair. I'm just going to go. That was a better option. Go on, Greg.
Okay, well, I was just gonna make a joke about Resistance Racers being canceled, but then you had to come in with something like serious.
Dude, Resistance Racers is on my passion project list too. Yeah, one day.
Canceled. Yeah, I get it. And then one thing I don't think we've mentioned yet is the chassis split of the Resistance Y-Wings. We should probably just mention that it happened. Wartime and peacetime Y-Wings are now different chassis. Cool.
So you might have noticed that one of the documents mentioned in the press release that came out, and also mentioned in the patch notes. All of these can be found on the XWA website. So make sure to check out those documents. But there is a print and play with the Resistance Y-Wing wartime loadout baked into it. So just make sure that you have that correct card identified, because you might end up with a couple extra shields and a different ability than you were intending. With that, before we bring on our next, I do want to just mention we have had a few questions of speculative nature around future rules. We did mention that we are reviewing the rules reference guide. We are looking at things. Again, no information forward, but let's try and target our questions a little more towards this immediate update, if we can. All right, so next we got Talon 07 coming in.
Hey guys, I want to say really appreciate all the work you guys have done. But I wanted to point out that I really appreciate the piece where you talk about the slot management. Slots being standardized where possible. That's been like, having cannons and missiles on random TIE fighters and stuff for an example is one of those things that it's like, that I've looked at for a while. So appreciate that from a very casual theme perspective a little bit. But I wanted to ask about the tactical relay slots. Looking through here, I noticed there's one Sith Infiltrator, there's one Hyena, there's a couple of HMPs, and 3 of the Belba Labs, right? Totaling 7 total potential carriers in the whole faction. And I remember back to the like in the 2.0, like for instance, all the Sith infiltrators, all the HMPs, all of the Belba Labs had that slot. And so I wanted to ask about like reducing that number on some of the more powerful slots. Like what kind of thought went into taking it away and whittling that down?
I'm immediately going to compare to the Moldy Crow title, because you might have noticed that some of the titles in this situation were similar. We wanted to try and be as aligned with the lore that we could when we were putting these things together, especially when it came to things like that. But also we had to pay attention to balance as well. Like the tactical relays are incredibly strong as a force multiplier, if you'll pardon the pun slightly, in Separatists. So we really did have to be careful with the CIS. We had a good look at it and thought, okay, which ships are capable of taking these? I know in the past that some of the Roombas, the gunships, were capable of taking them. But when we actually had a look into it, turns out design-wise there was almost no space. So, Greg, you put a lot of thought into that. Do you want to take a bit more of this?
Yeah. So when again, this was one of the first things we did when we were doing it. We're like, okay, what does the ship have in cannon? So for maybe the YT-1300, you've noticed an extra gunner slot, because what's the first like combat thing you see? Luke and Han going to 2 different gun wells. But again, that's where possible, you know. So like if a ship had an ability, or you know, some extenuating circumstance that requires it to have a slot, or it can't have a slot, you know, the game takes precedence, obviously. But where possible, we wanted it to feel as Star Warsy as possible. For the tactical relays, I don't really see Maul like flying around with Kalani or something, you know. But I just don't like. I don't know. What other ship do you want it on? I guess is
I think
really a question.
I think his point is that we have it on fewer ships than it used to be in 2.0,
Yeah.
which is a fair claim to make. But I think a lot of these tactical relays, I don't want to see every single Separatist list running them. So I think we do currently like where we're at with the restrictions on it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we'll re-attack it as time goes on if we don't see as much play as we want to see of these cards. Like Ali was saying, this is the worst iteration of the 50-point list you're going to see. So it's only going to go up, hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
just to address that, the final point is we have seen quite a lot during playtesting the effect of putting attack relay slot on a ship has given it. That suddenly that is the only ship you ever see in the chassis, purely because it has the attack relay. So we wanted to provide options for tactical relays being a thing without causing them to damage the rest of the ships in that line, essentially, purely by going, oh, I can take the attack relay and I can take this and I can take this. So yeah, we wanted to be careful where we put it. You'll notice that DBSC is like, he now has a role as that guy. He's the coordinator, he's got the relay. So that we wanted to try and create some of those roles in the Separatist faction, because we are aware that they do have a lack of ships sometimes.
All right. Well, thank you. That was I know that was the last points change, but the 32C being able to, okay, this guy can take all the attack relays. That's his role. Over the HMP gunships, basically taking that role. That made me super excited last time too. So I'm glad that that's continued. So thank you.
Thank you for your question. All right. Moving next, we're going to jump to Ponderous, and we're going to keep it a little bit moving just because we do see that Q getting back up there with 5 patiently waiting. Oops, 6.
Yeah, we're in the lightning round now.
Yeah, lightning round. Okay, keep them quick, and we'll try and get to everybody. All right, Ponderous, what questions do you
I
have?
promised I'd be back. Really just I guess one little follow-up question at this point is so I really love and appreciate that you guys do these stages. They give a good, opportunity to ask these kinds of questions, have these kinds of conversations about, especially these big kinds of changes that happen immediately. But I do find myself basically like racing to find the questions that I want to ask, given that they're usually scheduled a few hours after said content is out. Would you guys be open to maybe like a 24-hour window for in the future for like us to be able to look things over, mull them over, come up with the kind of questions we want to ask, but still have a close enough time to like address before it gets out of hand?
The bonus that we've got is we have a permanent space where you can ask these questions. If you have a look in the channels that we're in right now, there is an XWA questions section. We're constantly looking in there. Plus, we all hang out in this space as well. So if you got a question, you can chuck it into the chat. Maybe someone else knows the answer. If you get, I think it's 15 people going, yep, we want to know the answer to that question too. Really doesn't take long. Normally it's only a day or two. Then we can respond to you there as well, just because otherwise we get inundated. But yeah, please do go ahead and use that.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. I will say too, many times we don't even wait for that 15. We did put that 15 in there. But yeah, there's many times too that other members and community members too will answer that question. But that is a great plug for that XWA questions. The XWA question responses to see what has been filed before, and then our frequently asked FAQ.
Well, we're a little bit behind on the responses. Actually, we gotta catch up on that.
I know, I'm bad.
Yeah, no, it's because of this thing. We were all hands on deck to get this 50-point thing done in the last 2 weeks. So yeah, I'm just noticing we're a couple back. I'm making a note to myself.
Yeah, there's a couple that have been posted that we need to respond to. Okay. All right. Thank you, Ponders, for your question again. And we'll
Thank you.
move on here. All right. Hamdam should be joining us here.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello. So first thing to say is thank you very much, as ever, for your hard work. I don't know if it's just me, but this points thing today has felt more like X-Wing Christmas than the last few points things. So whatever you're doing it well. And yeah, thanks for that. X-Wing Christmas for the win. So I guess the question I've ummed and ahed about what I wanted to actually ask, because there's about 20 things I probably would ask, but that's not going to happen. So let's just start on the basics. Specifically on the loadout side, the tech slot seems to be really clustering around that 5-point window. There's pretty much everything seems to be clustering around 5 points. What can we do about that? Because it feels like unless you've got 5 points, you can't really use a tech slot.
Well, the tech slot is something that tends to only appear on the ships with a little bit more loadout to spend in the first place, like the E-Wing and the Star Viper and everything else. The other thing is worth mentioning again, we're constantly looking at new upgrades. What I did, and I spent a long time doing over the course of this 50 point, is we did have a very good look at all the upgrades, and we wanted to spread them out as much as possible. So I have had a look at the tech slot as well. Turns out a lot of those things are around the 5-point mark when it comes to how valuable they are. Similar to a lot of the illicits end up at the same points value as well. So I'll continue to have a look at those. If it finds out that one of those is more valuable than the others, then sure. And you might see a few more in the future.
Well, that would be cool, because it definitely feels like there's a bit of a missed opportunity in that space. Cool. Okay.
Yeah, well, I think Paul said it earlier that they're looking to fill in some of these gaps we have in upgrades. And what we don't want to do is make something too cheap or too expensive because we want a variety of points. So I think it's better for us to point things correctly, and design can step in and be like, here's some new texts that are aiming for this price point, that price point, or whatever.
Yeah, tech is a little light right now. We do need to push some more stuff in there, especially not at the 5-point thing, at the 5-point spot. So we're going to have to. So when we design a new card, we do tell them, hey, we're aiming for this many points. Is that what you guys think? And then the points team either says yes or no, and then we change things and so on and so forth. Because we all want them to be to differentiate from the other cards that are already out.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your question. Any quick follow-ups or?
No, that's fine. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I think, Ollie, you mentioned in passing as well, the illicit seems to have thinned out a little bit, which is great. You've got some things now down as cheap as 1, which is great. But then some things that have gone up, which is obviously less good. But hey, it's all good.
Hey, I've got to ruin everyone's fun somehow.
Yep.
I know. Good job.
All right, awesome. Thank you for your questions. And we're going to move right along. All right, Matt B, come on in. Matt.
Hello.
There we go.
Yeah, sorry.
good.
First, many thanks to all involved. I've been playing this game since its inception in 2012, and I haven't been excited or interested as much as I am right now. So it's a very positive. My quick just point or question is that I really like the restricted list. It's good though, like Ollie said, I think that it's not 5 pages long. It must be tough to decide what goes on it. But my question is about the generic pilots mostly. I'm guessing those must be or must have been looked in playtesting closely a lot, because finally they have a place back in X-Wing, because we haven't seen them in a while. But I'm, for one, don't really like lots and lots of spamming of generics. So is it something that will continue to be looked at very closely as we go on?
As mentioned previously, we don't want anything to break the game. We don't want something to come in and say, hey, this is the only thing that we see. And we do want a lot of different options for a lot of different players. So I'm not expecting generics to be like all over the tables and being the best thing ever. I'm not expecting aces to do that either. And if that is the case, then we're totally going to have a look at that. Hopefully everyone can enjoy playing X-Wing in the way that they would like to play X-Wing, and you'll bump into a load of different lists and have a good time doing it.
That's it. And thank you again, everyone.
Thank you. All right, next we got Metal Bag. Come on in. Maybe. I see they're snoozed. Oh, there they are.
Sorry, I was talking to myself. I didn't notice that I have to accept this. Well, I want to thank you for all your work. It is amazing, really amazing. I feel like the game now is more like the game I wanted to play before. It's more like a dogfight. So basically, the change that you did in the scenarios was great. Having the half points and reducing the weight of the scenario points for me was great, because this changes the meta and changes the list that we can play, because aces can be played and be competitive again. So thank you very much to bring that back again. I am so excited for the new points, because I feel that now the list will be lighter. You cannot fit everything that we have before, so the games will be also faster and more agile. So also thank you for this. And my question is not for this. My question is, I know that Maui and all his team is now working in the reference rules and rewriting everything again. I suppose that they will have into account all the answers and questions in the AMG question, rule questions forum and so on. But for sure, when this document will be released for all of us, more questions will have to be answered. So where are you planning to do this? You will have a kind of forum like AMG had, or have you think about this?
Well,
That
I
is a
don't think we can
very-
speak for
sorry, carry on.
Maui. Oh, sure. I don't think we can speak for Maui, but I'm pretty sure it will be any questions and stuff. Maui, feel free to type. Oh God, stop talking, Paul. But I'm pretty sure he's going to do everything on this particular server under the X-Wing Alliance section. If there's rules questions, anything in there. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he's just planning on doing it here, not having a separate forum or anything else like that.
I'm going to jump in here as
Okay.
well, just from an administrative perspective, from the council's perspective. The difference between like answering questions now versus answering questions in the past is that like we'll be able to do updates much more quickly. So I know part of the concern about doing it somewhere here, it might be not be very searchable, or might be difficult to find that stuff. And I think it's just
Exactly.
important to say that we'll find a solution, an appropriate solution for it when the time comes. But I think our track record speaks for itself in terms of like, you know, the fact that we're trying to look for the best possible solution, you know, with the circumstances that we have.
Okay, thanks. And I have a little bit another little question about. I am asking if you have planned, or at least you have tried to think about having, for more or less, not all, but a big number of pilots, having two versions of the same pilot. So now we have more granularity with the points. That this is great. So have you planned, like Vader has the version having afterburners that cost, I don't know, 15 points, and then the other version that is the lighter version with 13 points, but much more or less loadout? Have you planned to do with more pilots, or?
It's certainly something that I have had a look at for the future. I don't know if it will be a thing, but it's something that I'm curious about, having multiple versions of the same pilot. But we'll see how we go. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen or not, but it's definitely something that we've thought about behind the scenes.
Okay, then I have no more questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving right along. All right. Let's bring Mr. Liam back in. Round two.
Round two, Electric Boogaloo. What is the best way that us as a community can support you guys as the XWA team?
PayPal, gregcash@gmail.com.
If only he wasn't lying. No, on a genuine note, obviously we are not for profit, etc., etc. One of the best ways is feedback forms. We're going to have a new feedback form. We haven't made it yet, but it's going to be a thing. Communicate with us. This is the game for you. So if you're not enjoying it, then please let us know in a constructive manner. Like rattling pitchforks and just screaming isn't helpful, but saying, hey, I'm really not enjoying this part of the game, could you maybe have a look at that, is super helpful. So yeah, constructive feedback is amazing and we need it. So please keep on doing it.
And play in your local game store and like be visible, so that people can maybe ask questions about it and be like, oh, what's that X-Wing game? I heard it was dead. You'd be like, no, actually, you can do this and you can do that, and you know, and just be a good ambassador for the game when people are asking questions about it, and that would be helpful too.
Sounds good, and I hope everybody else that's in like listening to this has heard that as well, as a way to be like, hey, this is how we support XWA going forward.
One more, just to tag on what Paul said there that I haven't thought of in a while. We have had over the years so many amazing podcasts and stuff, and I know there is a lot of people out there who might be thinking, oh, I'd love to write something or say something about this game, but I'm not sure that anyone wants to listen. I promise you, everybody does. So if you have the mental capacity and the space to do some of this, I know a lot of the people that used to do that are now putting a lot of their time and effort into building the game. So yeah, there's always room for another podcast or another article out there.
There's a lot of appetite. There's I've seen it in this server, in many other servers, asking for additional breakdowns, additional content. So yeah, there's definitely an appetite if you are willing to give your voice to the people.
I personally have something in the works, but school comes first. Thank you.
Thank you. Certainly does. All right, next, Sevilla, I think. Come on in.
Sevilla, close enough.
Sevilla.
So I have a question that you guys might not be able to talk very much about, but we know that you guys are examining future new content. And I was curious about how much you guys are considering porting existing ships to factions that would canonically have them, and or making new ships, quote unquote, kind of like with Stramaroni Stark.
So I can't go into details, but the let's see, the set after the next one is definitely going to have the first one that you're asked. I'm not going to say what ship or what faction, and I think that's also going to have your second suggestion as well. So, like Maui was saying, it's great if people suggest things we're already doing because then we look really cool. But you know, we have plans for both of those kinds of things. And that's probably not going to be in the next set. It's probably going to be in the set after that. So pay attention to, I don't know, summer 2026.
Now, Paul, can you confirm Rigatoni Rark, the RZ2 A-Wing with an X-Wing dial?
God, that'd be such a bad ship. No, we're not confirming that.
Okay, well, just checking, you know.
Bye, Alex.
Well, thank you very much. That's what I had.
Awesome. I think as much as we would love to carry on chatting to people here, I think we can probably do one more and then that's it. We got to wrap because we're at an hour and a half now. So yeah, shall we do one more and then go?
Yep.
Yeah, let's take care of our one last one in the queue, and then final thoughts, final statements, and close it on up. Mr. Apollinaut.
Hello.
Hello.
So this isn't really a question. This is more just a PSA. R2D7 has been updated and works currently with the new points system. Thanks to Eekpair and Wraith for getting everything working properly. It should be all good. If there are any issues with R2D7, usually it's something to do with the database and not the bot itself. But I can investigate things. Yeah, so we're all good there. Thank you all so much for all the work that
Blame
has
the
gone
database. Typical.
Well, I may actually play the game for the first time in probably about a year.
Yay.
In person. So
welcome back.
Thank you for what has been named the X-Wing Christmas.
Hey, X-Wing Christmas. We love it. Go on, I'm going to pass off to Jason to wrap up.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us here. As it's been stated numerous times, we do have more stuff. We did publish that update to the timeline, so we are looking forward to that Q1 new content release. We've had a few, shall I say, spoilers to get us to whet that appetite upcoming in 2026. I want to thank again all of our playtesters. They don't get much of a break. And again, like Paul had stated earlier, we are looking, we'll figure out a way to get that outreach for if you are interested and you have the time. We would love to have that feedback of additional playtesters, because obviously we do have a lot of content and a lot of future plans coming down the pipeline that we can use you. So help us and help the community in that playtesting group. Does anybody else have any closing thoughts or statements that they want to make?
X-Wing's awesome. Play more X-Wing.
I couldn't agree more. It's an amazing community. I love every interaction and just playing in person, and the people that I meet across from me on that mat. My only regret is not being able to play more than I am now. I love rolling those dice and little pew pew noises. With that, again, we do have that XWA questions and question responses. We'll make sure to catch up on that. Thank you for joining us today. Again, stay tuned for more updates, possible future point updates. Again, just that reiterating that this is the worst of the 50 points. It'll just get better from here with that feedback and those slight adjustments. We will be monitoring those. So thank you for your time, and have a great time playing X-Wing.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.